Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hoopatheticals. The first time we've done 2 episodes in 2 weeks. It's unheard of. And I also noticed, thanks to everybody that's been subscribing on YouTube, we've got a lot of followers over there. We've got 25% of our listeners are from India. So if you're from India, I've got to say this to you. Mera naam Jez hai, ab kaise ho? Anyway, over to you, Tommy.
Wow.
How are you going this week?
Wow, thanks for setting me up for failure on that one, mate. My Hindi is absolutely shocking, and I'm just hoping that was Hindi, because I know there's other languages in India. All I'm here to say with regards to that is thank the Lord this is not a cricket podcast, because if anyone's been paying attention, the showing from the Australians has been nothing short of dismal, and Cody got his first 100 in 3 years. So it's not looking good for the summer.
Moly.
Yeah, holy moly indeed. It's not looking good for the Australians in the summer of cricket going forward. But let's just keep it to basketball, hey?
That's it. Let's keep our pace with our own sport here. And let's jump straight over to our first segment, Tommy. It's time for a segment we didn't even get to last time. Heat check.
All
right. Well, Tommy, it's time for Heat Check. And for people that haven't heard this one before, this is where we check our temperature on certain topics in the NBA. Now, this time we're actually going to be giving actual degrees Celsius of how hot these things are. Okay? So, Tommy, what's your first item on your Heat Check here?
Yeah, I wanted to heat check the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're at about 50 degrees Celsius, and they're a little cool. They're a little tepid. Mm-hmm. They're 8-8, and I think that's a little how you're going for someone who made it to the conference finals last year. And I'm not quite sure what's happened. What I can say is that Julius Randle, I'm not surprised, really. I don't know why they made the trade. I love Dante DiVincenzo. You know I'm a truther on him. Mm-hmm. He is the truth. But look, this is just... It's just not looking good, mate. And I saw Rudy Gobert pull down 20 boards. He could pull down 20 more, and they'd still suck. So poor Ant, I don't know what he's going to do. He's going to have to go full MJ mode for literally the rest of his career if they want to make it out of the West. But I'm feeling a very 50 degrees and cooling off. They're off the stove, mate, and they're kind of sitting on the bench there, and it's not looking good. Thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I actually feel like their temperature could even be lower, honestly. In my reading, I stuck the thermometer in before, and it's looking like a bit of a balmy 41 degrees, in my opinion. Yep. It's a cup of tea you forgot about, and you took a sip and you go, should I keep drinking this? It's kind of nasty. But then you do keep drinking it because you're lazy, and you go, you know what, I'm just not making another cup. So this is going to have to do.
What a picture into your mental health depression struggles, Jeremy. Just make another cup of tea, mate. It's okay.
Mate, I'm not going to, and neither are the Minnesota Timberwolves, mate. It's looking like it's going to be tricky for them to continue on. The T-Wolves, it's a tepid tea, is what I'd say. So that's looking like a very low temperature. Another one who I think, for me, is hovering around this one is actually Bobby Portis. Okay,
Bobby Tortoise.
Bobby Tortoise.
What are you doing, mate? Call him by his real name, or don't call him at all.
So, Bobby, I would say that he was at 30 degrees. I'd actually say this is on the way up a little bit, and the reason for that is entirely to do with Thanasis being in attendance and whipping the crowd into shape for the Bobby chance, which he absolutely feeds off. Now, is Bobby guarding anybody on defense? No,
absolutely not.
Is he making the kind of mid-ranges and three-pointers you'd like to see from a guy who almost won Sixth Man of the Year last year? No. You know? Is he even really getting the rebounds that you would kind of hope for? Not really.
Somehow not.
Yeah. But is there more energy now? Yeah. And so I'll take it.
With Bobby Tortoise, man. I mean, he made a career-high 6 assists in a couple of games ago in the Bucks. And I was beyond stoked. I also saw him correctly rotate and get a block against the Hornets the other day, which, I mean, I almost cried at such a supreme display of defense. He's been a little bit better in the last few games. I don't know if someone's given him a hard word, but Bobby Tortoise, warming up. What degrees did you give him again? What was that?
I gave him a rating of 45 at the moment.
Yeah, I think he could. He's got a higher ceiling than that. He can sizzle. He hit a single 3 the other day too, I'll remind you. But that's probably appropriate.
Yeah. All right, Tommy, have you got anything else you want to dip the thermometer into?
Yeah, I got a confusing team for you, and again, we're just going whole teams here. I'm not I'm shooting from the hip on this one, mate. I've got the Houston Rockets. Now, I'm in two minds about them. They're third in the West at the moment, which is no small feat. But they also lost to Portland the other day, who suck. So, I want them. I'm feeling like a sort of 70, 75. Like you could probably burn your mouth on it. Keeping up with it, you probably I'd be sipping that tea. But I have question marks on the Rockets. Mostly who's playing on that team? Who's not named Fred VanVleet? Who's good? I also saw, I don't know if you saw this, sorry, as a quick aside, Fred VanVleet poked a ref in the eye the other day and called him a snitch with a B. I won't put an explicit mark on this podcast, but our followers can fill in the gaps. And I just thought it's just incredible for someone who, we're nowhere near the playoffs, and to have that level of intensity is just phenomenal.
You know what, Tommy? That might have convinced me that they're actually they could be actually on a simmer, because I was going to go a little lower than you, but you know what? They might still be on the stove there. If Fred VanVleet is ripping referees' contact lenses out with his finger in a game in November, then maybe they're pretty serious.
He's kicking ass and taking names, mate, and he's taking everyone's name. I'll put it that way. So,
you're going to have to be Fred VanVleet of foot around him, mate, if you want to be able to see for the rest of the game.
That's my heat check, mate.
All right. Well, I've just got two more quick ones for you. I think we've just mentioned this a little bit before, but I've got Thanasis at Bucks games. I've got that at a simmering 85 degrees.
Yeah, he's hot,
bringing
mate.
Every single thing he brought last season, and somehow more, because the camera cuts to him more because he's in plain clothes.
Much. Oh my goodness. They kept cutting to him and he'd just be sitting there like sipping on you know what I mean? And like he's just there in his tracksuit. I'm like, but it's good to see him. I didn't hate it. That's the thing. I didn't hate it.
And you know what else? He could not be living a better life right now.
Right.
His life is peaking. I know that his ACL is in a state of disrepair, but beyond that, every time he is the son of Milwaukee, everybody is excited to see him. He brings he's like the most extroverted person on earth, so he's loving the attention.
Yeah.
And every time they cut to him, he's got like an $100 smile strapped to the face.
Could not punch it off.
You could not punch that off. He is literally living his best life. And since he's been there, the Bucks have been winning, so he's even happier. I love that he was here with the Rockets, and he was still basically supporting the Bucks and giving us the energy off the bench.
The thing is, like, he's arguably more loved than Giannis, and whenever he's there, it's like everyone feels the vibes, Giannis included. So yeah, you love to see it, you really do. He's hot, mate. I'd even bump them numbers up a little bit, especially we're on a 4-game win streak. I know we're getting a Bucks talk later, but if that keeps extending, I can see Thanasis he's not going anywhere. I'll put it that way.
But they're actually going to kidnap him and take him on road games. I think they're going to be like, it's just out of his control. He has to travel with them.
He has to. He has to.
I had one more for you, Tommy. This was just not necessarily basketball related, but it's a former basketball player. It's actually J.R. Smith. I don't know if you caught him this week. He's on Shannon Sharpe's show. Now, was he a great guest on that show? Not really, but I wanted to share one screenshot I took, and I think it should give off the vibe of him. So let me just grab this for you. Alrighty. So we've got this here. Now, what I want you to see about J.R. Smith here is I've put him at a hot 420 degrees because the man was a smokestack on the podcast. This is the most sober he looked on the entire podcast. I'll say that to you.
Dear. Go on. Sorry.
And I just wanted to say, if you haven't checked it out, the man couldn't be more under the influence of God knows what. I've got some ideas, but... as people were saying, in every single comment was calling him JR Spliff, and I'm glad he's still getting work outside of the NBA.
Yeah, he's clearly on some wacky tobacco or something like that, mate. I don't know what's more impressive, the fact that he was able to sit through that interview and contribute in something that's more than a murmur, or that you knew that this happened. What kind of late nights are you in, mate, where you're watching Shannon Sharpe's show with a retired baked J.R. Smith? That is just...
I do the research for these fans, mate. That's why we have paparazzi out the door the second we leave. You know, it's for this level of dedication.
Yeah, it's fair enough. I should have known better.
Alrighty, now I wanted to launch into a bit of a new segment here, and this is it's similar to Heat Check, and I'll explain it once we do the logo here. But this is called Bank Shot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here we go. Okay. Oh,
Alrighty,
man, I love the font. It's just so like... You've done a great job and a fantastic effort, but it's just slapped straight on there. It's like it's green screened. It's like... Oh, man. Beautiful
mate,
done. No, great.
That's it. I didn't want to waste a cent on the font, mate. And speaking of green screen, we're going to be in the green with some of these, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be giving our investing advice to different things around the NBA. So it's not unlike a heat check, but it's kind of looking at their future. So would you invest in this asset? So Tommy, do you want to lay some of your sights on the market out there for our listeners?
I've just realised that these are both negatives, so you're going to have to try and buttress this with some positives, mate. I've got a fire sale up for you first up, and if you've got any stocks in the Indiana Pacers, please sell them. I'm a fire sale not only on the Pacers but also on Halliburton specifically. The man is just a disgrace. For someone who talked that much rubbish to put up whatever dismal triple single numbers he's putting up this season, I mean, it was so, like, I felt so good seeing us pump them the other... I mean, we didn't pump them, to be fair, but, you know, it was a solid win. I'll take the dub. But they're just a disgrace. When a man named Nemhard is starting to be the franchise player, retire. Halliburton, I'm fire sailing all my stocks, mate. Not that I had one to begin with, but they're all gone.
They're burned. Lovely. All right. Well, that's all the indie stocks burned. I actually was interested in this one for you, Tommy. Are you a buyer, seller, or keeping your stocks on a post 50-piece LaMelo Ball?
You know, I might buy a few stocks, actually.
Oh.
I kind of liked it. He's got... You know, everyone craps on the NBA for being classed as entertainment, but you can't argue. He's entertaining to watch, especially when he's throwing lobs and just taking... He takes deep threes, but when I hate it on Trae Young, I kind of like it on him because I feel like he doesn't have he's got a punchable face, yes. He's almost definitely rolling his ankle, yes. He's flopping, 100%, but he's kind of fun. And you know what? There's nothing more like gratifying and satisfying than someone dropping a 50-piece and still losing to us. So, because I tell you what, I've seen it the other way around. You know, Giannis dropping just obscene numbers and still getting the L. So I'm probably keeping my LaMelo Ball stocks, and I'll maybe pick it up a couple, you know, in the quiet hours of the morning when I'm not watching Shannon Sharpe and JR Spliff.
So I wanted to say this, man. I felt like I was watching... When I watched LaMelo Ball, the thing that I felt like I was watching, because literally no one on the Bucks could guard him at all.
One.
Like it was amazing to watch him be completely unguardable. But what it felt like was I was watching someone who had just spent $2,000 of real money on VC in NBA 2K, bought all the tats, bought all the stats, and then was just like, let me play on easy mode and just like jack up threes. Yeah. But it's like, what really happened in an actual NBA game?
I think it's also like, for whatever reason, I have high expectations of him. I don't know why. He's on like one of the worst teams in the league. But like when I don't know if you felt this way, when he was on 38 points or something, they said, oh, this is tying his career high. You know, in my head, I was like, I feel like he's dropped more than 38 on us before, but yeah, I guess he hadn't. Also, as a side note, why is it that every team, they either shoot record amount of threes, someone has a new career high, or whatever? Why is it always against us? Why can't we defend a thing. Like, anyway.
It's
whatever,
because, man, all of our players are retirement age. That's basically the answer, mate. It's LaMelo Ball looks at us and he goes, I am literally playing against people who are going to be playing in the big three next season, you know?
Yep. Hard out, man. Yeah, I'm probably. Are you buying some?
I actually think I'm holding, to be honest. I just think LaMelo Ball, I feel like this could be the kiss of death, actually, for him, where he goes, you know what? I actually am the best person on this team by a country mile, and all of a sudden we're looking at Trae Young 2.0. And look, he had an out-of-body experience against us, no doubt about it, and he's going to have another one this season, but I can also see him being like 6 of 29 in a game.
You love to see it. You really do. 6 of 29 and 13 points. And you're like, wow, how's that mathematically possible?
Did you have any other tips for the market there?
Yeah, I've got, again, just selling a few of my stock on this one. I've actually...
A bit of a recession wins you're feeling there, Tommy.
Yeah, we're a little bit of recession here, mate. Mm-hmm. I had quite a few in the bank on this one as well, which is a bit sad. I'm selling stock on the Kings. Feel like I've been pretty hot on them the last few seasons. They keep disappointing me, which reminds me a lot of the Bucks in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, I just feel like they've been perennially a mid-tier team that keep making the wrong moves trade-wise. Picking up a washed DeRozan really gives me shades of when we traded for Bledsoe, except Bledsoe was nowhere near as good as DeRozan. So just like the whole idea of like picking someone up who's meant to be good but will never actually take you to the promised land. Like DeRozan, this trade would have been great 4 or 5 years ago. And then it would have been like, oh, okay, veteran experience with a young core, whatever. But, I mean, he's having an okay season, I guess. But they're not going to... Like, my case in point was when DeRozan was out. I don't know Sabonis. He might have been out as well. And De'Aaron Fox dropped, like, 60 and then 49 in back-to-back games. And it's like, oh, okay. You guys are literally just stealing assists and points from him. Like, he's a certified bucket getter, and you are sealing his career right now. So it just reminds me again of, like, the Suns with, like a few years ago before they had their finals run, with a Devin Booker who was just cashing shots. And it didn't matter because they weren't even in play-in, or I think they don't even think it was play-in back then. You know what I mean? So I'm selling on the Kings, and I hate to say it because I actually kind of like the Kings. They've got an underdog, small market mentality, which I froth, and I kind of, it's sad.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was going to say DeRozan really reminds me of that sort of like person who's just a bit more washed than you need them to be. Yeah. And the person that comes to mind when I think of that is Harrison Barnes, who... also, of course, was a King for a long time. So it's just right in the slot there. Yeah, you got to be selling the stock on the Kings there. It's even with the De'Aaron Fox ascending, their team just doesn't feel built for 2020's NBA. It kind of feels like it's built for 2016 a little bit. Maybe even 2012,
Oh, you hate to see it. I tell you what, some of those names back in 2012, they'd either be in school or they'd be a great playmate. So...
All right, I've got one more bank shot, but this one I'm going to be buying some on, all right?
Oh, okay.
So I'm buying a little more stock of this. It's Giannis's mid-range game. I don't know if you've seen the stats, mate.
Oh, I'm buying up a few of these, mate. Come on now.
So now, of course, this is a fickle market. So there's it can go up and down, the Giannis mid-range market. It's certainly seen some lows. It's certainly seen that we remember the tough times, the recession when he thought everything that was a post-up fade. That ended up on the front rim every single time. We've been through that. So if you've held stock through that, you'll be absolutely bloody laughing right now because he's the second best mid-range shooter in the NBA behind DeRozan. Don't know if you saw those stats.
I have not seen that stat, and I'm sizzling on that one, mate. That is spicy.
So I'm going to be encouraging people to be buying those stocks because something looks a bit different. There's a bit more form to it, and hopefully, like, you know what? Actually, now when I watch the Bucks games, I can be like, Giannis is going to jack up a good 3 in this game. There's never been a year where I've said that. Now I'm like, all right, he's starting to feel the mid-range. He's going to jack up a 3 shortly. And then, more often than not, it misses, but occasionally it hits.
I will take you back. I think it was last season in our preview, you said that Giannis was going to shoot over 30 or 35% from three. Didn't come true, but just bringing that up. No, I think evidence is that when he took that shot to win the game, who was it against? It wasn't the Hornets. It was against another team. We lost, but I didn't hate that shot actually. And I was like, you know what, I'm happy to live and die on that shot. So, he's kind of been cashed from there. The most frustrating thing about having stocks in Giannis's mid-range is that he always takes a mid-range that's at approximately the free throw line, but for whatever reason cannot replicate that shot when he's actually shooting a free throw. So, and it's clear, like we know, we've been saying it literally for years, Jez, like... He needs the rhythm, the flow, and to keep the shot. This is literally elementary school basketball, like as in year 5 level basketball. So I'm waiting for him to translate that game. But yeah, I'm picking up a few stocks in that.
Yeah, beautiful. Did you have anything else you want to share with the investors?
No, I think that's it for now. I like to keep keep the cards close to chest. So we'll see how we go.
That's it. Yeah. You got to hold on to some stuff there.
Yeah.
Well, Tommy, I want to actually dive into something we touched on last week, but it's become an official segment this week. It's going to be our poetry section.
Yeah.
Now, you might be listening to basketball going, basketball and poetry, just you wait, because I'm about to call a rhyme out.
That's gorgeous.
Beautiful. Welcome to the lovely jazz club we've got here set up. We're doing a bit of an open mic night for the poetry here. Doing a little bit of poetry for some of our favourite players, or just any player, really. It was someone who was actually getting scorned last week. But, Tom, what have you got for us here? Welcome, Tom Nixon, to the mic.
Thank you for having me at Rhyme Out. This is not for my favourite player. It's actually a little bit of a roast out, if anything. I may have foreshadowed it earlier, but if not, here's my poem. Pat Connaughton, you can't hit a three. You can't even defend. You're worse than Thanasty. You've robbed our team. You've haunted my dreams. So hear my plea. On the bench, stay there, please. Thank you. Thank you.
Pat Connaughton, it's tough when you're getting told you're worse than someone who's got an ACL tear. That's pretty tough. But is it inaccurate?
Mate, I'd get a jersey on Thanasty and he would play some better defense. He would at least yell. You know what I mean? Like those dudes when you play pickup and they just yell when you shoot. I would have Thanasty do that in a heartbeat over Pat Connaughton. I'm going to roast him more later. But we'll leave it at that.
Well, that was a beautiful poem, Tommy. I'm so happy it started with someone as in the all-star orbit as Pat Connaughton, who's now not even seeing minutes on the Milwaukee Bucks. Just before I get to mine, do you think that is it Pat Connaughton G League time?
Oh, mate, I think it was that about 2 to 3 business seasons ago. I have no idea why he's even on the bench. I get nervous. Like I get a bit of anxiety, panic attack energy when I see him with the tracksuits on. I think, please do keep those tracks. And he stands up. I don't know if you've seen it in the timeouts. He'll be in the tracksuits and he'll stand up and I think you better not be heading to the scorer's table right now. Don't you do it. Don't do it. So...
Well, that's beautiful. I'd like to welcome myself up today. Now, mine isn't a poem. It's actually... I'm going acoustic on the electric here, so we're just going to have to hope you can hear a little bit of it. I'm doing it for a player I actually like, because I feel like something's going a bit under the radar, which is that Nikola Jokic is averaging 14 rebounds a game. Wow. Averaging 14. That's like Dennis Rodman numbers. And I feel like it's kind of going a bit under the radar. So this is a song for everybody about that. Thanks. All right. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Dude grabs 14 boards a game. Now that sounds like a Jokic. Weird because he reminds me of the Pokemon Slowpoke. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Now, there's a second verse, actually.
Oh.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Do destroy the Morris twins, you better not provoke it. 56 from 3, so hot that I've been given heat stroke it.
Yep.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you, Jez, for that delightful little rendition of supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Thank you.
That was beautiful.
I worked so hard to shoehorn a rhyme in, and then I actually never ended up using his name in the thing, so it was all wasted energy. That's inefficiency right there. That is just unacceptable on Hoopatheticals.
Yeah, and you certainly won't see it come out of Nikola Jokic. I'll put it that way, mate. The man is just a machine. But that was beautiful. Thank you. The poem corner, I think, is really flourishing into a beautiful, safe space of creativity. And wow.
Well, let's go from that beautiful, calm, peaceful vibe to our most aggressive segment, I would say, Worst Fake. Alrighty, welcome to Worst Fake.
Sorry, I really want the shot of the basket, like the shooter, to be one of us shooting and just airballing it. That's my dream one day. I'll see if I can organise it because it's just funny. Sorry.
I think another one should be one of those ones where you pump fake and accidentally lose the ball.
Oh, it's tough.
You pull it up and it just floats away.
Oh, it happens to me all the time. You go for the pump fake and they land on you and you have to try and dodge them. Just because I'm short as well, I get absolutely cleaned up by whoever's in the paint. Let's explain the rules of Worst Fake to our new audience.
So Worst Fake, of course, everyone's heard of First Take, but Worst Fake is where we act like people on First Take, where we bring our own really intense hot takes about basketball to you, the listening public. However, unlike First Take, we don't know what we're about to be arguing. We're going to be given that by the other person, so we're going to have to improvise. Yep. Tommy, do you want to give me your first take first, and I'll respond first, because you went first last time?
Yeah, no worries, mate. So I'm actually, this isn't even... I think you might have fun with this because I'm buying stock in this team. I'm buying stock, big boy. So, as you probably know, Paolo Banchero has been injured. Will be injured for a little bit longer. Here's your worst fake. Orlando is the dark horse of the East, currently sitting at third. And I reckon Franz Wagner is underdog for conference MVP. In the East, I reckon they're going to go pretty far this postseason. I can see them making it to the finals, and Franz Wagner is just going to be an absolute bucket. So, Orlando, dark horse of the East, give me that worst fake.
All right, I've got it for you, Tommy. When people think of France, they often think of a country that raised the white flag.
Yep.
Well, not this France. This France takes it to people. He's jacking up threes. I watched him the other day. You know what? I actually am in agreement with you because I saw them do something the other day where it surprised me so much that I actually had to refer to highlights later because something happened that I didn't expect. So I flicked on the Lakers Magic. Okay, Lakers currently doing pretty well. I think they're fourth in the West. So it's a pretty good matchup. And with 22 seconds left, they're up by 8. Lakers, okay? And at that point, I just switch it off because I felt like I had to watch at least a little bit of Lakers this season. I'm like, great. I come to find out on YouTube that it's a fantastic finish and the Magic has actually won. And you go back and you watch those highlights, and it is France just jacking up the weirdest jump shot. I don't know if you've seen his jump shot.
Yeah.
It's got a bit of a weird body release, a bit of a flick, but he's just laying him in Tracy McGrady, 18 points in 9 seconds or whatever that highlight reel is.
Wow.
He's hitting him with that, and that's just one player on the team. Banchero's not even on the squad right now.
No.
So, I mean, they've got young legs. They're going to have a good regular season. And I think the Magic's been so bad and so brandless for so long.
Oh, yeah.
It's time for them to bring a little bit of that actual magic this season. I see it happening. You got brothers. We've already seen what happens with that. Thanasis and Giannis looking at you.
Yep.
So,
Rolo, Brook Lopez. Never forget.
That's a deep cut right there. Yeah. When the two other Drew Holiday brothers that aren't Drew Holiday are on the same team, you know?
One's called Aaron, I know that. Yeah. Aaron and Justin, I think, yeah.
But yeah, so you know what? I think this is the year that France doesn't wave the white flag, but instead takes their own Normandy beach with their own citizens. So thumbs up to the Magic.
Yeah, I mean that's an even better, more apt description. Seeing as Franz Wagner, I'm pretty sure is German. So, yeah, I mean I've roasted them for really years at this stage for their lack of brand and their just overall crapness. But for whatever reason, they're playing good basketball and good defense. And you know what? My love of defense is greater than my hate for the Magic, and that could probably be said for my other hates, like the Clippers organization, like Joel Embiid, like many of the Celtics, and probably many of the Lakers, just to name a few. So, good, worse, fake, Jez.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Tommy. Let me give you yours, all right? And I think this is going to give you a little scope to talk about this team as well, but I kind of want you to dive in a little bit.
Yeah.
So we've had some super teams that were built in the off-season. Turns out the Warriors, Buddy Hield, turns out he's taken a step up. That's a bit of a super team.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
We've got the Cavs who now have all these players that are playing well. We've got the Suns, I wanted to look at a super team that's not really playing that well.
Okay.
And Tommy, I want you to tell me why Paul George made the right decision moving out of Philly, moving to Philly this off-season.
Yeah, no, this is easy, actually. Do you know why he made the right decision? Because if there's anything Paul George is looking for, it's an excuse. And he went to a team where he wasn't the number one guy. He might not even be the number two guy. Honestly, he might be the third option. And he probably went into that going, I just need to average like 15, 2, and 5. And that'll probably be my role. He hasn't even done that. I think he's injured. I don't care. He made the best decision for his career because none of this is at his feet. Joel Embiid is copping the entire flack. I know we're going to talk about the 76ers in a moment. For their abysmal 3-12 record or whatever it is. So Paul George, I think, can focus on his true love and his true passion, which is having crappy podcasts, which obviously our dedicated listeners would know nothing about because they'd be listening to us. But
or J.R. Smith on Shannon Sharpe.
But he's actually made a great move because obviously it was all on his shoulders at Indiana. It was mostly, I'd say 50-50 on his shoulders, the Clippers. OKC, huge all on his shoulders. He doesn't have to worry about that anymore, mate. He can kind of just get his bag, slip off into eternity, have his... he's literally already working on his post-career, unashamedly, in between games. So, yeah, good for you, man. I don't care if I never see you again in a single NBA basketball game again. So, there you go. Well done. You made the right career choice finally, and you'll never win. You'll never get out of the second round. I know he's made conference finals, but, anymore.
Look, I think that was a great take, Tommy, because I honestly have been watching It's getting to the point where I hate watching the Sixers. It's actually a bit of a pleasure.
It's a doom scroll kind of thing where you're like, I hate myself, and this is kind of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you want to share some of your thoughts on the Sixers here, Tommy? Because if there's one person that's been really anti-Embiid from the beginning, you've never, if we're talking about buying low, selling high, you've never had any Embiid stock. So just give us a little bit of your thoughts on what's going on here with everybody kicking him while he's down.
Yeah.
This is your opportunity to do a bit of an I told you so.
Yeah, I did tell him so. He's literally everything that's wrong with the NBA as far as I'm concerned. He absolutely stole his MVP. I just don't know what they're going to do, the 76ers. What do? They can't trade him. They're sure as crap not trading Tyrese Maxey. They're definitely... Paul George... they can't trade him yet. They've got that good rookie. I guess we ride with that. But when do we... Yeah, I don't know what's happened as well. Is he injured as well? Like, I saw he came back, but then he didn't play yesterday. Joel, that is. I don't know if that was his back-to-back protocol or if that was... if he's injured again. I really told him so. I really did. I told him so. And, that's it. No one's going to ever think that Joel Embiid is good ever again. If I ever hear the words Hakeem reincarnated, I'm going to have a conniption. Because that is a disgrace to Hakeem, the Dream, as far as I'm concerned.
they're making me feel physically sixes. So let's throw them in the bin, mate. I just thought I had to give you that opportunity to really slam the boots in, because you've been a huge anti-Embiid person, and it's now finally the dam's broken and everyone agrees with you. But you've been there since the start, setting up the tents that now everybody's living in.
Yeah, I've been protesting him for a long time, mate, and. Yeah, it just annoys me that he won MVP, and I don't know if you want to pivot just yet to my redacted, but
you know what, Tommy? Actually, let's jump into the redacted. That's actually this is a great way into it. So let's jump into redacted. Redacted, of course, for our listeners, is our NBA conspiracy theory segment. Tommy, you're going to give me a conspiracy theory. I'm going to determine if I need to put on the tinfoil hat, as you were.
So the thing is with MVP discussions is that obviously it's always a narrative, and the narrative is about what someone is doing in that season, but also how it compares or in the context of previous NBA seasons. So, for example, no one's going to be handing out 3 MVPs in a row to the same person, because all of a sudden you have to have GOAT conversations. D Rose obviously deserved his MVP, but let's not pretend that that was one of the reasons that he got it and not LeBron. My sort of conspiracy theory is I don't think that Giannis is ever going to win another MVP, and I think it might be one of the biggest travesties, greatest travesties ever. Because the man has been averaging, at the moment he's a league leading scorer at 32.5, 12 rebounds, 6 assists. Obviously he's wet from the mid-range, as we've already discussed. But either him or Jokic, and Jokic is having a phenomenal season. Both of them are playing better seasons than what they have in the past, and both of them have already won, respectively, 2 MVPs and 3 for Jokic. And so in my head, I'm like they're going to have to hand out another MVP to someone else. That's why Embiid got his first one. He'll never get one again. But I reckon the league, they won't start talking about it yet. It'll obviously be sort of post All-Star, whatever. But it'll be like, it's Doncic's turn. I'm trying to think. Maybe even like a...
Shea.
Shea, yeah. It'll be a passing of the torch sort of thing. Even though Giannis is like 30, I don't even think Jokic is that old either. Like, people act like they're these elder statesmen of the NBA. They're really not. But yeah, I just think it's really biased. The other thing as well is that the East, I think there's a bias against the East. I'm obviously not blind to the fact that the East sucks in comparison to the West.
Sorry, bias against the East. We've got a second redacted going on here. So that fight, the take's so hot, it's just set off a flamethrower. Yeah,
sorry to smuggle that one in without prior notification, mate. But essentially, like, it is somewhat like all lies, Jez. There's a bit of partial truth in there. Do you know what I mean? That's how you smuggle in the lie with a little bit of truth. The East is obviously steaming pile of trash. You've got the Celtics, you've got the Cavs, you kind of got Orlando, and then you've got everyone else, even though the Bucks are 6 at the moment, just on the by-the-by. We're back, baby. But I reckon even if the Bucks finish 3rd in the East, which would be very respectable as far as I'm concerned at the end of the season, and very achievable, if Giannis keeps his current stats, league leading in scoring, great, probably 2nd or 3rd on rebounds, or 4th, whatever, and, assists, whatever. But he also has like a block on a game, a steal every now and then. I reckon they still won't give it to him, because it'll be like, the Bucks are sort of washed. They haven't been out of the second round since the finals. And yeah, let's give it to Shea. Let's give it to Ant. You know what I mean? Let's give it to that next the next generation. That's my hot take. That's what it is.
Mate, very hot. I think you're exactly right. Now, I'm going to determine if I'm going to put the tinfoil hat on.
Oh, there it is.
It's on, mate.
It's on.
Brains protected.
Yep.
They're not going to get me.
Stay woke.
No, I think you're right. I think Giannis has lost it. People, I think, are just fed up with him. To be honest, I think I don't know exactly why. I think that it's exactly what you're saying. Actually, to be honest, it's just that they just are like, well, he's not in that MJ category, so therefore can never get it.
Yep.
It's not unlike the Bobby Porter 6 Man of the Year awards, where people just couldn't give it to him. You look at the stats across the board; he's like better than everybody. He's got higher stats than everyone else that he's going against, but still loses every time. I think it's going to be like that. It's just going to be like, well, it's the Bucks. Who cares?
Yeah, 100%. It's like, oh, they've already won. You're probably not going to do it again. Move on. We're more interested. And this is the thing, the narrative around Giannis already this season, and granted we had a pretty shocking start to the season, but the narrative is already what team is he going to. It's not that he's putting up, again, the most insane stat, like stuffing sort of performance that he's done for the last 4 or 5 years continuously. It's like, are they going to trade Dame? Why can't he set a good screen? Again, I've talked about that. But like, why don't they gel well? Are they happy? All this kind of stuff. And it's like, but he's having an incredible season. So why is he not an MVP? If you look at, I don't know is there an MVP ladder yet? I'm not sure if there is. I'm pretty sure he's nowhere near that. Like top 5, whatever. To be fair, I haven't looked, but I'm vibing that. I'm just vibing that.
Well, I think let's just run this this chat about Giannis into our segment, Bucks Chat.
Yeah.
Just watch that budget absolutely disappear with the animation quality here.
Yeah. Sponsors, please hit us up because we just dropped a fortune on that, and I don't know if it's pitifully obvious, but we do not have the cash flow, the liquidity to keep up, and this podcast is not bringing in the green like we thought. Although we know someone who is bringing in the green, baby. We know who is.
We do.
So hit us with the Bucks chat.
All right. Well, here's what I want to talk about. Well, last time we talked about how Giannis and Dame have no chemistry. They must have listened to the pod because they've got chemistry now. Something's happened.
They've been cooking something up, mate, in the lab. That's all I got to say.
I've got to be honest. It's not perfect chemistry. No. Dame's bounce passes always too low. Weirdly, but he's throwing them now, and that's the main thing.
Yep. Giannis set a screen the other day, and I almost cried. Yeah, I think, I'm chalking this one up to resilience. The pretty poor start to the season. We've got a couple of 4 wins in a row now. I think our next few games, we are playing the Heat next, which will be a bit of a tough one. They won in overtime today. So that'll be a really good test for us to get back to 500. I think we're 8-9. But I'm liking it. We've got 4 in a row, and we're like 7-3 out of the last 10. So I don't know if you've realized what some of the actual difference is. It's actually, I don't think it's Giannis. I don't think it's Dame. I think they're more or less doing what they've always done, which is be great. But Gary Trent Jr. has decided he actually knows how to shoot the basketball. I don't know if you've noticed this. But we've kind of won a lot of our last few games because he's cashed a few threes. Doc, as foreshadowed in the poem corner, in the rhyme out, Doc has realised that Pat Connaughton is just not fit for the NBA. And so he's benched him for 4 games in a row. It's correlation, causation, call it whatever you want, but that's why we're winning. And Dairy Bird, AJ Green, AJ Cream, it might be said, has been butter from Beyond the Arc. And Ajax, I like him starting. I like him coming out with that energy and then getting benched 5 minutes in because I feel like he brings the energy and he's great to throw in their primary scorer. So, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about AJ Green. I've got a question for you, Tommy. Is it possible for AJ Green to miss a 3? I don't know if I've seen it yet. I'm
shocked every time he does miss. I'm shocked. I'm like, did I see that right? Was that
like
him?
He is shooting shots that peak Klay Thompson would miss.
Yeah.
And he is catching the ball at a full sprint, flying out of the baseline. Like he's run from the midcourt off the baseline, one-handed, basically no look, nothing but net. I mean, the man is, I don't know, he's like LaMelo Ball with less opportunity, honestly.
Yeah, and his form is just phenomenal as well. He has the most incredible, I don't know what he's shooting. His dad is a basketball coach as well, which makes it even better. But, yeah, I'm just loving his defense. My favorite thing is that teams were targeting him on defense until they're not anymore because he's solid. Dude's jacked. Have you noticed this? He's been in the weight room. He's actually, yeah, he's looking good, mate. I'm vibing. I'm vibing.
I also wanted to, this is Bucks adjacent related, but I wanted to shout out the commentators the other day. Grant Williams does his ACL, and the entire commentary on the Bucks side was, is he flopping?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
As he's walking off, being helped off by his teammates, they're going, geez, he really flops a lot. And they're like, this happened because he tried to sell the call.
He's just really asked for it. Yeah. I don't know. I actually didn't check the news. Did he actually do his ACL like proper?
Yeah, his ACL's done.
Oh, he's out? Like that's... Yeah. Oh, that's actually tough. That's we do not condone. We do not make fun of people who have injuries on this podcast. That is actually tough that he did his ACL because he got back up. I thought he just kind of tweaked. He was like walking it off. Oh, nah. That's tough. That's tough. And no one wants him either because he'll make them both, but he didn't. So.
Some other points I wanted to bring up. We just mentioned Ajax before. I mentioned to you this offline, but I wanted to bring it onto the podcast.
Yep.
Ajax, Andre Jackson Jr., for those unacquainted. He's a second-year player for the Bucks. He's now starting as our shooting guard. He's a defensive-minded person. I'm calling it early. This is buy some stocks. 2020's Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, I'm there, boy. Mm-hmm. I'm there. I'm waiting for him to pull down like 20 boards and have like 30 assists and 0 points. Yeah, I don't know if you saw... Poor Ajax. He took a few like mid-range floaters from like the free throw line against Sharpe. I don't know if you saw them. But there was a few hell no.
Must have been training with Gary Trent Jr. there with those floaters.
Yeah, there was a few hell nahs that got picked up on the mic, and it was tough. He did cash a 3 a little bit later on, but when you hear that on a teardrop, my tear dropped. So
the last person I want to shout out is actually Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton is dressing like every possible clothing option from the game Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and I appreciate it. He's got the boxy clothes. He's got the low res kind of look almost to him. Yep. Everything is exactly 3 sizes too big, and sitting exactly off his body with the exact same amount. So his stylist is a game developer from 2001, and I appreciate that.
I don't know if I've known a man who has that many hoodie and tracksuit combinations, but he's clearly trying to hide something. When are you coming back, Chris? We miss you, and we need that 15, 6, and 6. We need it.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to Bucks chat, mate?
No, I don't. I do think the season will balance out. I think we'll be comfortable, maybe 4th or 5th seed in the East. I think that's where we'll land. And yeah, the playoffs remain to be seen. If Gary Trent Jr. can remember how to play basketball for more than 4 games in a row, we could be in business.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying.
Alrighty, well, let's jump into our new segment. This is our second last segment today. It's a new segment, and we're going to be inducting people into our very own Hall of Fame. So let's jump into the segment.
Oh, wow. Oh. I mean, these two are obviously gimmies. They're straight into the Hoopatheticals Hall of Fame. They have to be. I mean, these are core basketball memories for both of us. But sorry, please. Go ahead.
And I'm gonna say, if you are just listening to this, jump over to either the Spotify or the YouTube. Each of these segments that you're hearing, the music, has an accompanying video. And we've got 2 absolute Hall of Famers instantly inducted, I think, which was, of course, Matthew Dellavedova and Patty Mills. Yep. But, Tommy, well, I've got 2 here, so I might start us off, and then you can have the middle one here.
Sure.
First person that I'm going to pitch to be into the Hall of Fame, this segment you're going to have to agree with me and decide if they meet the requirements to enter the Hoopatheticals Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And this is in a category I'm calling being exemplary in the category of the most Shanghai Sharks player of all time.
That's tough.
This person's done an exemplary job. I think they brought the exact right amount of confidence, the right amount of bad moments in clutch time, the right amount of what do they kind of bring, but also someone who you actually feel like if they were let loose in Shanghai could probably drop 30. And that's Eric Bledsoe.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he actually spent some time in China too, so that's just not even wrong. Yeah, I mean, we discussed it briefly before, but Bledsoe, those were dark years for Bucks supporters. And, even when he was good, he was still kind of mid. And that was really just the start of the end of the Bled show. So induct him, mate. I've also got someone...
Oh, hold on, wait. Tommy, just before you get to that, though, you've just reminded me. You're right. He was kind of mid. You know what he was? He was Russell Westbrook at his worst all the time.
He was. Oh, man. Especially his three-point shots. Like, he was the Russell Westbrook who we let shoot because he's having an off night, but it's all the time. It was worse than when they let Giannis shoot now. It was like the disrespect on his three-point game was shocking. And, he only ever got points by just running into the paint and throwing up the ball and hoping to high heaven it would make it in. So induct him.
All right, great. Well, congratulations, Eric Bledsoe. You are the first official member of the Hoopatheticals Hall of Fame. Congratulations, mate.
I've got someone who is of a similar vintage in the Bucks rotations. And this man I'm inducting for a few reasons. I think overall I want to induct him for the Spirit of the Game award. I think he really brought the passion, he brought the sweat. He put his body on the line, and no one can argue that. Sometimes he put in a three. He was a thrilling player who would hit more than just one three because it was in his name. And I would like to know if you would agree in inducting Ersan Ilyasova because it was Ilyasova a few times. I tell you what, he hit a few game winners. And I just felt like he was kind of the underrated glue of that Bucks team for a few years there. I think he played... he may have played in Europe for a year and then came back to the NBA. The Bucks have this great kind of pedigree of bringing people back. And we brought back the Thrill Yasova. And I just want to give him the Spirit of the Game award and induct him into the Hoopatheticals Hall of Fame.
Well, I mean, Tommy, of course you know it's a unanimous vote. Of course we're going to put him in. He gave us Thrilliasovas, he gave us Chiliasovas. And taking charges, he took some Spiliasovas, honestly.
He did.
I think he was the leading charge taker for a couple seasons, which is impressive for someone coming off the bench. I also think he could be inducted under squarest nose in the NBA.
Yeah, he definitely averaged at least 1.2 broken noses a season. He probably led the league in that.
Yeah, Pat Connaughton's a nominee for that award.
Well, he took up the mantle, I think. Once Ersan retired back to Turkey or whatever, I think Pat Connaughton took up the mantle. So, yeah, but without the effect, without the love, without the threes. Oh, goodness, without the threes, I tell you what.
Well, I love it. I think he's got to be in. I think we've all gone for people that... have played for the Bucks, and this is going to be no different. Our third one, he was in the intro, but I think he needs an official adding. I think you're going to have to help me with some of the categories here, Tommy. He's going in initially here for outstanding achievement in unorthodox jump shot. And that's, of course, going to be Matthew Dellavedova.
Absolutely.
We've talked about it before. We love a jump shot that's the release point is behind the skull.
Yep.
And he brought that to the NBA.
Yep.
He brought unbridled attention to defense. Someone who plays basketball, as my partner said, not unlike someone who has never played basketball before and is just giving 150%.
You love to see it.
And he also has one of the most famous being dunked on clips in the NBL by Chris Goulding, who actually got him horizontal. It's one of the most amazing dunks I've ever seen. I don't have it live. Unfortunately, but we can get it for next time. But Delhi... You're going to cop that sometimes, but I think we have to say, obviously, the son of this program, Matthew Dellavedova. Tommy, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Yeah, I think, maybe in the stump mic of basketball, he said something like, I was there, though, when he got dunked on. So, again, a nominee for Spirit of the Game award. Delhi locked up Steph Curry there for a series. A journeyman... But one that you always wanted on your team. He was the original Thanasti, if you think about it, as far as bringing the vibes and the energy and the veteran leadership that Thanasis provides. You're always happy to see him on the bench. Is he still on the Kings?
I think he's on the Sydney Kings now.
That's tough. But no, look, a fellow countryman of ours will always have a really soft place in our hearts. Yeah, we love Delhi. We do.
Yeah.
I think he still does camps and stuff, so he's actually there for the people.
Yeah.
You can sign up with all the other 12-year-olds, but he's actually like one for the game, one for the culture. So yeah, he's straight in, mate. It's not even a vote.
Not even a question. Well, Tommy, I think we've got 3 worthy inductees, all played for the Bucks in about the same era, which I like. Yep. Some good, some bad.
Well, and I might add, on that era, I think Giannis still took him to like 60 wins. You know what I mean? Like, it was still... And if you look at that roster, you think, who else was scoring points other than people not named Giannis and Middleton? You know what I mean? So it really says something for team basketball.
Yeah. It does. And you know what? We might have to go back to that era for some more Hoops Hall of Fame inductees. Well, Tommy, we're fast approaching the hour mark, so we know what time it is. It is, of course, time for Agent Cody Bank.
My favourite. All right.
Alrighty. Once again, the text slapped on there right at the end there, but, you know, it's just the Hoopatheticals theme.
Crudely applied on Adobe or whatever knockoff pirated version you have on your computer these days.
I've somehow made these on Microsoft Paint, and I think the quality's showing. All right, so Tommy, for people that don't know, Agent Cody Bank, you and I are about to act as the agent for potentially an obscure NBA player, maybe a coach, some figure in the NBA world, and our job is to get them the bank. We got to get them money, and we got to do it no matter who it is. But again, not unlike Worst Take, we don't know who the person we're about to be representing at the business table is. Okay?
Yep.
You're going to have 45 seconds. It's an elevator pitch. So, Tommy, I answered first before, so I'm going to give you yours first right now.
All right.
Now, this person we talked about, they're actually on a bit of an upswing, but the question is, will it stay? And they have not really been successful in the team category. So I'm going to ask you, Tommy, to be the Agent Cody Bank for none other than LaMelo, Big Baller Brand Ball.
I have to pop this one off for this one, mate. And here's the thing with LaMelo. If you're looking for 50 points, 2 boards, 6 assists, and 4 rolled ankles a season, I got the man for you. He's a franchise player, but he's a franchise player, not of basketball. He's a franchise bench player. Look, LaMelo, he was hyped up by his dad as the next big thing, and that's about all he's done. The Hornets remain not even a play-in team, but this man deserves the bag just because he's got swag. I think it's more talk than actually him playing. He's kind of like a poor man's Trae Young. I'm still building my franchise around him because he's getting plumbers up there dunking. So there you go. LaMelo Ball gets that bag, I think, well deservedly.
I like that you've gone for he's like the anti-Orlando Magic. Like, he's just all brand.
He is all brand, and it has nothing to do with basketball. It's like you said it, and you didn't even know you said it. Like, it's the tats, it's the 2K sort of player vibes. Everyone even says like it's street ball that he's doing. You know what I mean? So he's all marketing, and in an NBA that's classed as entertainment. If you want to put bums on seats, you're only going to do that with logo threes. No one cares about meaty pull-ups. No one cares about free throws. People care about dunks, and they care about logo threes. So he's the man for the job.
That's it. All right, Tommy, who you got for me before we round out this hour? We've given the people what they want. We've given them 2 of our longest pods in a row.
Oh, wow. And in quick succession. So this man has been on a team that's actually been cooking. He's been a little inconsistent, but he's been kind of hot recently. And I don't know if he's going to stay. So this actually may be a real-world situation for his agent. I want you to be Agent Cody Bank for none other than Andrew Wiggins.
Andrew Wiggins, number 1 overall draft pick. That's nice to say.
Yes.
You know, so that's good. If you want a guy who is going to be off for 3/4 of a season for personal reasons, I've got the guy for you. I'm giving you a guy who you watch one year in the playoffs, you go, is this guy going to be Finals MVP? And the next season you go, is this guy going to get minutes in a G League team?
Yep.
Wiggins is wigging out, but that's what you kind of want. Is your team on the rocks? Do you want someone who could go off one night or could be a massive problem? You know what I think it is? It's a Ben Simmons for Andrew Wiggins swap. Let's just get two of the most inconsistent people in the league, swap them out and see how we go. Everybody wins. So you're seeing wins with Wiggins when he is traded for another salary absolute hog.
Yeah, I mean, geez, we haven't even touched Ben Simmons, but the man, I mean, I usually am biased towards fellow countrymen, but that man has just worked hard to get me to hate him as much as I do. I can't believe he's still in the league. I think he's in the league just because he has to be paid for whatever reason, but yeah, mate.
Legally, he's contractually obliged to be paid, so they may as well roll him out there for 25 minutes of game time.
I'm putting out a first team never wanted to play basketball, still doesn't want to look like he ever has had a desire to play basketball yet has found himself on an NBA team with the ludicrous salary, Ben Simmons.
That was an anti-agent Cody Bank there. Well, tell me, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up today?
No final thoughts, mate. I just loving the frequency of the pod, pumping up those numbers, and hopefully we can keep it up.
That's it. Like Gary Trent Jr., we got to hope we can keep this up and ride that into the sunset. And as always, Tommy, Finn.